The smell of fresh wax clung to the marble floors of the Whitmore Tower as early sunlight spilled across the atrium. Samuel Ortiz adjusted the strap of his worn janitor's bag, his calloused fingers brushing over the bottle of cleaner he had been using for more than a decade. He'd been working here since his son's first birthday. Every corner of the building felt like a second home here, except it wasn't. He was a quiet fixture in a place where people in power rarely noticed him. Up on the 23rd floor, Eleanor Whitmore Ayodhya had already begun her day. She strode through her office in heels that clicked like a metronome, her eyes scanning emails, her assistant scurrying behind. Eleanor was notorious for her sharp tone and sharper instincts. She built Whitmore Industries from a failing logistics firm into a multinational powerhouse. And she had rulers, unbreakable rulers, especially when it came to her son, Oliver. Oliver, 8 years old, sat quietly in the corner of his mother's office most mornings, head bowed over a tablet, pale hair falling into his eyes. He was a shy boy, allergic to peanuts, sensitive to crowds, and terrified of strangers. Eleanor had turned her office into a fortress for him, ensuring bodyguards escorted him from car to elevator. Her schedule revolved around board meetings and quarterly profits. His revolved around private tutors and sterilized lunches. Down in the basement, Samuel often saw Oliver's name on forgotten lunch labels or in whispered instructions between security staff. He'd never met the boy but knew enough to feel a tug of empathy. His own son, Mateo, now 12, had been in and out of hospital since birth. Chronic asthma, a weak heart, and bills that drained Samuel's savings. It was a life of perpetual worry. Samuel worked double shifts just to afford inhalers, second-hand sneakers, and the hope of a better future. That morning, as he mopped the lobby's edge, Samuel noticed a small figure at the far end of the corridor, near the vending machines. Blonde hair, blue sweater, alone. It startled him. Employees weren't supposed to bring kids here unsupervised, let alone the CEO's son. "Hey, buddy," Samuel said softly, setting the mop aside. "You lost." The boy turned slowly, his eyes wide but not scared, just wary. "My mum's in a meeting. I wanted a snack." His voice was a whisper, like he wasn't sure he was allowed to speak. Samuel crouched to meet his gaze. "You're Oliver, right?" The boy nodded. Samuel smiled gently. "I'm Samuel. I clean here." "You okay?" Oliver hesitated. "The machine ate my money." Samuel reached into his pocket and pulled out $2 crumpled. "Here, let's see if it works for me." He fed the bill into the slot, pressed the button for a granola bar, and caught it as it dropped. He handed it to the boy. "All yours." Oliver's eyes brightened. "Thanks." "Don't mention it," Samuel said. "Your mom probably doesn't want you wandering alone, though." "You should head back soon." Oliver bit his lip. "I don't like her meetings. She yells." Samuel chuckled softly. "Meetings can be like thunderstorms, loud but not forever." They sat on the bench near the machine while Oliver nibbled his snack. It was a quiet moment, but a charge to near. Samuel felt it. He had been invisible here for years, yet now, in this instant, the most protected boy in the building sat beside him. The click of heels echoed down the hall. Eleanor Whitmore appeared like a storm cloud. 2 security guards followed. Her eyes locked on Oliver and then on Samuel. "Oliver, get over here." Her voice cracked like a whip. Oliver froze, the granola bar trembling in his hand. Eleanor turned her glare to Samuel. "You're not supposed to be near my son." Samuel stood slowly, hands up. "Mom, he was alone." "Yeah, I don't care," she snapped. "Security, move him away." The guards stepped forward, but Samuel held his ground, not aggressively, but firmly. "With respect, Mom, your son was by the vending machine. Alone. I just helped him." "I said step away," Eleanor hissed. Samuel's voice, though steady, carried years of exhaustion and quiet dignity. "You're afraid of strangers around your boy. I get that. But sometimes kindness isn't a threat." Something in his tone, something calm but unflinching, made Eleanor pause. Oliver's small voice broke the silence. "Mom, he helped me." "The machine took my money." Eleanor blinked, as though hearing her son for the first time. "You shouldn't be down here," she muttered, softer now. "I told you to stay in the office." "But I was hungry." Oliver whispered. Samuel looked at Eleanor, then at Oliver. Mom, I understand wanting to protect him. I do the same with my boy. But sometimes a broken bar. He took a breath. Sometimes the world shows kindness in places you don't expect. Don't teach him to fear it all. For a moment, the hallway felt suspended. The guards shifted uneasily, waiting for an order. Eleanor stared at Samuel, her jaw tight. She'd never been spoken to this way by an employee, especially a janitor. Finally, she said, "Go back to my office, Oliver." Her voice softened. Now, Oliver shuffled off with one of the guards. Eleanor remained. She eyed Samuel like he was a puzzle piece that didn't fit. "What's your name?" "Samuel Ortiz." "You've been here, broken bar, how long?" 12 years. "Never caused a problem?" "No, Mom." Eleanor crossed her arms. "You have a child?" "Yes." "Mateo." 12. "Sick most of his life." Something flickered in her eyes, a curiosity, or maybe a faint crack in her armor. She glanced down the hall, then back at him. "You're bold, Mr. Ortiz." "I'm tired," he replied simply. "Sometimes tired makes you honest." She almost smiled. Almost. "Get back to work." Samuel nodded and picked up his mop. As he turned, he noticed Eleanor still standing there, watching him as though she wasn't quite sure who had silenced whom. In the days that followed, Eleanor couldn't stop thinking about the janitor. She wasn't used to being challenged, especially not by someone from the lowest rung of her company's ladder. But there had been something in his voice, a weary sincerity, a depth of humanity that unsettled her. Oliver, meanwhile, became restless. He began sneaking down to the lobby more often, timing it when his mother was in meetings. Sometimes Samuel saw him and waved. Sometimes they talked about small things as soccer, cartoons, or how Oliver hated math but loved drawing. Samuel never took advantage, never pried. He was simply kind. One rainy afternoon, Oliver sat cross-legged on the janitor's closet floor, sketching superheroes on scrap paper while Samuel fixed a leaky mop bucket. "Does your son draw?" Oliver asked. "Sometimes. He likes music more," Samuel said. "Plays a little guitar, even with his asthma." Oliver's eyes widened. "Cool. You play anything?" "I'm learning piano, but my mom says I'm not good yet." Samuel smiled. "Every master was once a beginner. Don't let anyone tell you different." Oliver grinned shyly. Later that week, Eleanor caught Oliver slipping back into her office after visiting the lower floors. "Where were you?" she demanded. "Nowhere." "Oliver." Her voice sharpened. "Tell me the truth." "I was with Mr. Ortiz." Her heart thudded. "The janitor?" "He's nice. He listens." Eleanor's throat tightened. "You're not to go near him again." "Why?" Oliver's voice cracked. "He's my friend." Eleanor stared at her son, stunned by the word friend. Oliver rarely used it. His world was tutors, guards, and expensive toys, and not friendships. "You don't understand," she said finally. Broken bar people aren't always what they seem." "But he's kind," Oliver whispered. Eleanor turned away, unable to explain the gnawing fear inside her. She'd built her entire life on control. Samuel Ortiz was a variable she couldn't quantify. That night, while reviewing quarterly reports at her penthouse, Eleanor found herself staring at a framed photo of Oliver as a toddler. Back then she had promised herself she'd keep him safe no matter what. But safe had slowly become isolated. Her own childhood memories flickered. Her father gone, her mother working double shifts. She had raised herself with walls of ambition. Maybe she had passed those walls to Oliver too. In the following weeks, Oliver's health dipped slightly as stress. His pediatrician said he needed fresh air, social interaction, and less pressure. Eleanor tried. She took him to a private park, bought him new books. But he still asked about Samuel. One morning, Eleanor arrived at work early. She walked past the janitor's closet and heard coughing, a deep, rattling sound. She stopped. Through the cracked door she saw Samuel on the phone, his face pale, his hands trembling. "Please," he whispered into the phone. "He's struggling to breathe. The inhaler isn't enough. I'll send money tonight." Eleanor froze. He was talking about his son. "I'll work overtime," Samuel continued. "Just don't turn us away. He needs that medication." He hung up and slumped against the wall, his eyes shut. For the first time, Eleanor saw him not as an employee, not as a stranger, but as a father, a one fighting the same invisible war she was fighting for her son. She walked away silently, her heels no longer clicking, her mind spinning. That afternoon, She called her assistant. Find out everything about Samuel Ortiz's address, family, medical situation. Quietly, her assistant hesitated. Yes, Mom. Eleanor leaned back in her chair, staring at the skyline. For the first time in years, profit margins and shareholder meetings blurred into insignificance.